I'm talking with Jean Ann Booth, whose company Unaliware has developed an extremely interesting and quite a beautiful watch with built-in fall detection. And now, Jean Ann, I'm really intrigued that before Unaliware, you actually didn't have any direct experience in the medical alert industry. And I would like to talk about what you did before, because that was really cool. But what prompted you to launch Unaliware and the Kanega watch?
Sure. So in my earlier life, I'm an electrical engineer. So I worked in semiconductors for 30 years. One of my startups sold to Texas Instruments, another one sold to Apple, and then I retired, funny enough. And that was wonderful. I was a dive master on a liveaboard dive boat based out of Key West, which was great retirement job. And then my mom turned 80. Now, my mom, if you see the box behind me, that's actually a box for a Kanega watch, and the model on the Kanega watch is my mom.
That's so great.
Yeah, so she's gone now, but mom was a model in real life, and you can imagine here she is. She's a model, and she has an electrical engineer for a daughter. So most of our life together, she didn't really understand anything about what we did, but when we got to the point of actually doing Unaliware, you know, she was tall and slender. She got a little bit more physically frail, but she was always totally cognitively capable. And of course, as a model, she was not willing to wear anything, you know, ugly or stigmatizing. And so, you know, as she turned 80, you know, we had that conversation. Hey, mom, I want you to be safe. I want you to, you know, live your life and have a great time. You know, what about this pendant or that pendant or this pendant, or the first of the passive monitoring systems, which wasn't really a great solution because she was cognitively capable and she left the house all the time and she had a great time. She just was, you know, a little frail. And she looks at me and she goes, "Don't you get that for me? I'm not wearing it." And I was like, whoa. You know,
That's
I don't know
more common than you know.
Yeah, I think so. And especially, you know, pretty much everybody knows that look that your parents gave you when you were a teenager and you'd get in trouble and they'd be like, "Gary," you know, I got that look. And I, you know, frankly, hadn't seen it in, you know, quite a few decades. But I went away and I thought about it and I was like, you know, actually, I wouldn't wear a pendant, and I'm a nerd's nerd, right? I am totally not a fashion maven or a style maven or any of that. And I wouldn't wear it. So why would I expect my mom, the fashion model, to wear it? And the answer is she wouldn't. So we hired her. She was our senior user experience advisor, which was our joke, right? She was our senior user experience advisor, and she was our senior user experience advisor. At the age of 80, she had business cards. She was personally responsible for about the first 100 of the 400 people who came through our focus groups. You know, as we were doing the design and development of what became the Kanega watch. So, yeah.
You know, I love your story. I love your mom. I would have loved to met her. She's beautiful. She really personifies the potential client. And I understand the issue with the pendant. Nobody thinks they're as old or maybe as frail as they are. And our job is to make sure our loved ones keep their dignity. And that's why I love your phrase, your logo, I guess, extending independence with dignity. So I was wondering if there are any other special meanings behind the name of the company and the name of the watch.
Sure, there are. And you know, actually that tagline, extending independence with dignity, that took us an incredibly long time to come up with, because we kept going, you know, we're just not finding the right words for what it is we really want to do. And in the end, we want to all be able to age with dignity, right? I mean, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be ugly. You don't have to do ugly. And, shoot, that picture of my mom shows, getting older doesn't mean ugly if you happen to be one of those gorgeous people like she was. So yeah, and so where the name of the company comes from, I know it's a little bit different. Unali is Cherokee for friend, and Kanega, which is the brand of the watch, is Cherokee for speak. So we're the friend who speaks to you,
Oh,
which I like that so much more than all of the assist and all of those dependent type solution names that people use, and life names and scary names and all of that. The friend who speaks to you, that's us.
I love that phrase, dependent solution phrases, because it is true.
Yep.
So many of the things that maybe are out there to help our loved ones have such frightening or medical implications, or, that the thought and the heart and the humanity that went into Unaliware and Kanega, and bringing your mom in as the senior user
Experience advisor.
advisor. You can highlight any one of those words and it works. So talk to me about, I think one of the most important parts of what you do, although I will tell you the watch is just beautiful. It's really, no one, right. And no one's going to be ashamed of wearing that, or people think, oh, I'm wearing that because people think I'm frail. It's just a beautiful watch. But one of the things that you highlight in the benefits of the watch, and I really believe in this, is the fall detection. Such a challenge, especially for our loved ones who might be a little more independent, might live on their own, might even be in a facility, but an independent facility. What are the benefits to fall detection with a watch as opposed to a pendant?
The real reason I came out of retirement to start Unaliware was actually for a different reason. When we came up with our patented battery system in the band, that means you never take it off to charge. At that point, I was like, hey, look, we can keep my mom safe 24/7 and nobody else can do that. That's worth coming out of retirement to build. And when you combine that with our automatic fall detection on the wrist, then that gives you a solution that just doesn't exist anywhere else. And in fact, actually over on this side of my desk, those are some of our patents that have been granted around fall detection and our battery system in the band and things like that. So it's pretty important stuff. Fall detection is seriously hard. And it's also one of those things that unless you're a nerd's nerd, you probably don't really understand the nuances in. So what we actually do is we learn from real people and real falls, what looks like a fall and what doesn't look like a fall. And we actually feed that data back into our algorithms to make it better and better and better. And the thing that's different is that real people don't fall, like actors do. And they also fall differently by age. So oftentimes people who might be a little bit more vulnerable may sit really hard, right? And in many pendants, that'll be seen as a fall because they hit with enthusiasm.
Right.
And it's not actually a fall. It just happens to be, I'm weak, right? And so between that and what is kind of the normal way that most active people fall is the foosh, right? The fall with outstretched hands results in a break that results in surgeries that look like that one, right? So that's what a younger demographic most often falls like, is the foosh. That's not what an older demographic most often falls like. And the fact that there's not really a data set of real falls with real people, and you can't create them, because if you're going to create a fall that looks like a real fall, then it has to be a real fall. And so now you're sitting there going, hey, listen, I want you to fall for real, but don't get hurt. So we actually take real data, real people, real falls all over the US, all kinds of ages, but skewed into our demographic. So it's a more vulnerable demographic. And that's the way that we actually do fall detection.
I noticed that the Kanega watch is Bluetooth enabled. Is that important for remote patient monitoring?
So that we can speak to Bluetooth enabled hearing aids. So your Kanega watch, instead of speaking out loud, actually speaks directly in your ear, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the other is actually for remote patient monitoring. So there's a lot of FDA detail that's very detailed. But the bottom line is it allows you to be able to be in a situation where you may have, let's say for a chronic heart care patient, you have a weigh scale at home, you have to weigh yourself every day. Your Kanega watch could actually be the device that says, hey, Jean Ann, you haven't weighed yourself, go weigh yourself. When you weigh yourself, the scale can actually give the weight information to the Kanega watch. And because the Kanega watch has cellular and Wi-Fi built in, that's the way that the information then gets passed to the medical system who's doing the RPM, the remote patient monitoring.
How do we get the Kanega watch?
You get it online. We are 100% direct to consumer. And so you just go to unaliwear.com. It's UNALIWEAR.com.
That's very, very simple.